Hi everybody, I'm going to compare as quickly as I can 3 different versions of Bowling Green by Geoffrey Beene. This is a fougere perfume that came out in 1986. I have 3 different versions, and it is very true that this perfume, it does smell differently according to which perfume you have. When it comes to the different versions, I think that there are like 5 different versions based off like the distributor for this perfume. And this is all based off of a Base Notes article that I read a bunch of times. But the first one, I think, is this brand called Jacqueline Cochran. They are the ones who initially distributed it back in 1986 when it first came out. And then a brand called Sanofi in 1988, they acquired Jacqueline Cochran, I don't know how you say the last name, in 1988. And then in 1995, it became French Fragrances, basically, based out of Miami, Florida. That was in 1995. Then French Fragrances and Elizabeth Arden merged, or I think Elizabeth Arden purchased French Fragrances, and the label on the bottle starting in 2000 says Elizabeth Arden. And then after that, I think the initial Elizabeth Arden launched was maybe manufactured in Canada. I might have that wrong. And then later on down the line, it says on the label, made in England. So I could be off with several of the details, but I think that that's kind of how it shakes out. I have 3 different versions. This one is their oldest to newest. This one is French Fragrances, Miami, Florida. This one is Elizabeth Arden, Canada. And then this one here, the newest version, is Elizabeth Arden, England. So working left to right. By the way, I said this is a fougere perfume, and I think I came across it, it was back this past summer. And I think it was because I was looking at articles on Eau Sauvage, or maybe it was Chanel Pour Monsieur. And then this popped up, and then I did a bunch of research, and it looked really nice, right up my alley. So I purchased this one initially, loved it, and then I purchased 2 other versions of it. And yes, they are different. These 2 are more similar to each other, and this one is the most different, which lines up with what that Base Notes article said. So left to right, the French Fragrances Miami, Florida version. This one is the most like Eau Sauvage, Pour Monsieur, Fiero by Xerjoff or Casa Morati, whatever brand it is. So meaning this one is the most citrus aromatic. It is very well blended. So I can't really pick out any particular note, but I get the most sense of greenery and citrus. I get the most sense of the basil, the rosemary, the pine, juniper. I think sage is in there and some other green notes. And then the citruses, which consist of lemon, bergamot, and verbena. I think it's great. It smells very resort-like, very sporty, chic, gardeny, sunny. It reminds me of what it might be like to be at a fancy resort back in 1968 or 1972, something like that. It gives me that fantasy. And out of the 3, it makes me think the most of a spray-on perfume. And I'll explain what I mean by that when I talk about the next one, which is the Canada Elizabeth Arden version. This one, if I have to compare it to anything that I know of, I would say it's the most similar to a perfume like this, which is Monsieur Musk. It used to be known as Monsieur Houbigant, or Geranium Pour Monsieur, Chanel, Paris, Edinburgh, meaning that it's the most musky to me. It has this very alluring and sensual muskiness. You can wear this perfume, any of these perfumes, if you're a man or woman, but it has a very complimentary masculine muskiness to it. Very, very sexy, skewing towards the mature side. Maybe that's because it's a more old-fashioned kind of DNA, and that's why I feel like it's more mature, but it feels like a very attractive man to me. It smells like this one. Remember how I said that these two are the most similar out of the three? It smells like this one after it's been marinating and like getting comfortable with your skin and mixing with the oils and the pheromones on your body. That's what it smells like to me. So I had told you that this one is kind of like the perfume you spray on. This one to me is like the aftershave. If you go to the barber and he slaps on the aftershave onto your cheeks and your neck, and then that muskiness that has, the warmth after it just melds with your body and becomes more one with you. That's what this smells like to me, and that's why it's my most favorite out of the three. It smells very handsome, and it's just a great wear. I think it's the easiest to wear in any situation of the three. And then the last one, which is the Elizabeth Arden made in England. This one is my least favorite because it really does deviate from the Bowling Green DNA. And it's not like Chanel Pour Monsieur or Dior Eau Sauvage. It is a lot more like Drakkar Noir. And you can see that on the Fragrantica page. I think the most compared perfume to Bowling Green is Drakkar Noir. And I'm wondering if that's because, since it's the most recent, maybe the most available, most people have tried this version. And so that's why they're comparing it to Drakkar Noir. Because when it comes to these two, I would not compare it to Drakkar Noir. I would compare it to several other perfumes first. So when I say that it smells like Drakkar Noir, I mean it's the most mossy, lavender forward, and spicy maybe. It reminds me of, in the process of grooming, this was the perfume that you put on at the end. This was the aftershave, which is directly on your skin, more so than maybe a perfume because you spray your clothes too. This one is like the shaving cream that you put on at the barber's to have your skin shaved, or it's like the deodorant stick that you put on under your armpits. I also find that it's the weakest of the three. These two are pretty comparable in how they last. They do last pretty well. I don't find them to be intensely projecting or giving a whole lot of sillage, but especially if you're somebody who appreciates a scent that wears close to the skin where you can perceive it throughout the day, you would be very pleased with the two on the left. But then the Elizabeth Arden made in England version, I just find to be a lot weaker than those two. So all around, I don't like this one right here very much.